I know the dog is going to find her way home, right? She's going to be okay. It's in the title.
But it's touch and go there for a
Ah.
while. We every so often tell you to ask us things, and then maybe we'll answer them. And this is one of those times. So you guys left us questions in other YouTube comments, and so we're going to take a crack at them.
Thanks so much for all of these. The first one comes from Jay Gar, which says, "What is your favorite film to recommend to others?"
Wow. God, that's a toughie.
Right. Depends on what day it is, right?
Sure. That, and also like, what are they in the mood for? What kind of, what is their taste? Like, I would say, one of my fail safes is Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. I think everybody loves that movie. It's just delicious. And so like, that's a movie that if I come to it midway through on like TCM or something, I'm not changing channels until it's done. So yeah, that's maybe just kind of a go-to of like, who doesn't like this?
A movie that I find myself referring to all the time is Sarah Polley's Stories We Tell.
Oh, okay.
Which is a documentary in which she interviewed everybody in her family.
Yes.
And she said, "Tell me the story of our family as if we'd never met before." And it explores the nature of memory and identity, and like, what do you actually recall from your childhood? What is a photo that you have seen yourself in and you told yourself you remember it? What is just family lore? Yeah. And I find myself thinking about that movie all the time. So that's one. And then to the other side of the spectrum is Sing Street.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Yes. That's
it is pure joy. So that's a good one. Thank you. Patrick, Kevin, how did you both get into film criticism, and was that what you always wanted to do? You go first.
Kind of. I mean, I knew I was obsessed with movies at an early age. I've probably told this story before, where like when I was learning to read, I would look at the newspaper and I could tell you what was showing at every theater near our house, even before I was really even going to movies all that much. But just the idea of it, I found really compelling. And then I was a very young child when sneak previews started airing on PBS, it was Siskel and Ebert's original show. And that was like, oh, this is a job. You can do this for a living. And so, yeah, I kind of, from a very early age, really wanted to. We had a little junior high newspaper that was a glorified newsletter. I wrote reviews for that. I wrote reviews for my high school paper. I did reviews for my high school TV station, then in college. And then, yeah, so it's pretty much kind of always been my thing.
It is something I sort of fell into. But in retrospect, movies were always there. So I thought I wanted to be a TV news anchor. I was the anchor of our little high school TV news program. I had giant hair. This should not shock you in the slightest. I was a journalism major. I was a broadcast journalism major in college, but ended up going into newspapers to begin, which then took me to the Associated Press. And then when I was at the AP, right around then, like Gene Siskel died, like February of 99, Gene Siskel died. And I thought, he wrote about what he loved for a living. He talked about what he loved for a living and like what a privilege that was. And of course, watched them as a kid as well. I pestered the arts editor in New York and I said, "Hey, I noticed that we don't review all the films that come out. I'd love to give it a chance if you would let me do that." And she gave me a shot. I just asked the right person at the right time, and it would never happen this way today, but I lucked out that Dolores Barkley took a chance on me. And that's how I began. And that was March of 1999.
What was your first AP review?
Oh God, yes. Oh God, it was this German film, The Something Is. Anyway, so what was yours?
My first one for my high school paper was My Bodyguard.
Young Matt Dillon.
Yes. My first one for my college paper was Stop Making Sense.
Wow, that's a good one.
And my first published one in like a real life newspaper was for the Nashville Banner. I reviewed Crossing Delancey.
Wow, The Harmonists.
The Harmonists.
Yeah.
There you go.
Eugene Leonti. Once again, he asked one last time too. Do you ever feel burned out by watching movies? How can you recover from that?
I mean, if I see like several terrible movies in a row, it does kind of just wear you down a bit. But I think, it's a good time to maybe like take a day or two off if you can, and just, read a book or go to a museum or do something else that is creatively engaging that isn't a movie, which you should do anyway. Like, you should mix it up a little. And then, if all else fails, then I'll just watch something that I know is guaranteed to delight me, whether it's, Singing in the Rain or Die Hard or whatever, like just something that I know is just going to be a pleasurable experience and remind me of all the things that I get out of movie watching.
I don't feel burned out, but if I have something like a film festival jury or like an awards jury, or if I'm doing radio, like I do KPCC Film Week about once a month, like it's a lot of watching and it's a lot of like finding time to cram it in and maybe not savoring it. And then it becomes a mixture in my head of, okay, like who did what in which film now? And it gets a little confusing. So I agree, like taking a breath and going outside is very important. And like the outside world helps inform your interpretation of film. You can't just only devour film. You have to like engage with people.
Absolutely.
Valentina asks, do you have a favorite or least favorite genre to review? Not really. I mean, like, I feel like we have to be able to do everything. I think you can't do this job and say, oh, I won't review horror films, or, oh, I won't review musicals. Like, I feel like we've got to be well-versed in everything. And you can't really cherry pick.
Yeah, I think, sometimes I think documentaries can be challenging because it's very easy to just sort of like tell the story, and you have to really kind of do what you would do for a narrative film, which is talk about how the story is being told and what are the mechanics of the editing and the cinematography, and how do the tools that the filmmaker has, how do they come together to tell a story.
Matthew Mertens asks, if you had to pick only one, which of these Harrison Ford characters is your number one favorite? Is it Han Solo, Indiana Jones, Rick Deckard, or Jack Ryan? I say Han Solo because he's just like arrogant and sexy.
My take on this is that Rick Deckard is maybe the only one of these who counts as a character. Like, I mean, Han Solo and Indiana Jones, they're like James Bond. You kind of know what they're about. They might change a little bit over the course of however many movies, but they're not. When I think about characters, I think about like flesh and blood human beings dealing with emotional issues and getting through their lives and stuff. And so I think of those four, Deckard is the one who seems to be the most like possessing human frailty, let's say.
And maybe he's not a human though, Alonso.
Right? Well, I said character. I didn't say human.
That's true. There is a substance to that character and an evolution to that character that does not exist necessarily in Han Solo. But like, who would you rather watch? Like, who's more fun to watch?
Oh, well, sure. No, I think probably Han Solo. Sure.
There you go. Utsav Chauhan, if I'm mispronouncing your name, I apologize. He says, movies that are not highly regarded in critics' discussion, but you love regardless. I love Bad Times at the El Royale. 10 out of 10 for me. That's a good movie, actually.
That is,
don't apologize for Bad Times at the El Royale.
Not at all. Oh, believe me, we could be here all day. I'm sure in the comments somebody's already writing movie 43. I'll never live that one down. But whatever. I laughed. What do you want me to say? I
feel like this sort of goes hand in hand with the guilty pleasure question.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, so my answers to that are always Grease 2 and Xanadu, but like movies that people don't always like, it's sort of strange to feel on the outside. I would say whatever movie it is, it's strange to love it. And then you see your friends write about it and you're like, ooh, what did I miss? Am I being easy on this?
Well, I used to say Josie and the Pussycats, but I think that the critical establishment has finally caught up to that movie and understood that it's actually a very smart satire and not just a dumb movie with a lot of product placement in
it. James Bunt asks, what movie was able to get the strongest emotional reaction out of you? I thought I might never stop crying at a packed film festival screening of Never Let Me Go.
Ooh, again, we could be here all day with that. I do remember, speaking of film festivals, the first time I saw Ken Loach's Land and Freedom, which is a movie about the Spanish Civil War, which my father was sort of involved in because he was alive at that time and living in Spain, hit me so hard that I just like wept at the end of it. And the woman sitting next to me, who I had never met apart from a brief chat before the movie started, took me to lunch. To make sure I was okay.
Are you okay? Yeah. That's really sweet.
Yes, it was lovely. It's Canadians, they're great.
Oh, I recall seeing Up when I was pregnant. That whole wordless segment of Up, which is so beautiful, so elegant. I also saw Away We Go when I was pregnant, and that kind of messed me up.
Love that movie.
Yeah, so good. Anything with Lassie, anything.
Mm.
Like just I know the dog is gonna find her way home, right? She's gonna be okay. It's in the title.
But it's touch and go there for a while.
Along those lines, too, like Snoopy come home, I'm a fucking wreck in.
God. That's a beautiful but traumatic film for children. Babette's Feast is a movie that I think is lovely, and it's a happy cry, but I always cry when I see that one.
The catharsis is good. And E.T. again, I've seen E.T. a million times, but like sobbing. Anyway, so that's a good one. Nisat Salsabil Rob. Again, apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. Can you guys bring Ben back? Maybe get him to make occasional appearances. We try all the time. We love Ben, and he's been on a couple times recently. He talked about
The Godfather with us.
That was really good. And then somebody died and he came on. Oh, Peter Bogdanovich. When Peter Bogdanovich died, he came on. He's just super busy because he has to go to Atlanta all the time.
Yeah, his day job is very consuming, unfortunately.
And then this is a very specific one for you, Alonso, from Ryan Rich. He says, I've been trying for years to get the long form podcast to interview you and Buster Olney together. Any chance we can make this happen?
Buster Olney and I went to Vanderbilt at the same time and both worked for the student paper, he in the sports department and me in arts and entertainment. I would love that. I have not had a chance to chat with him in a long time. He's a wonderful person. He knows more about sports than I know about movies. He probably knows more about, he definitely knows more about movies than I know about sports. But yeah, he's great. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Were you guys friends at Vanderbilt?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we didn't like, we didn't go get drunk together or anything, but like, we would see each other in the newspaper office a couple times a week. We're always very friendly. He's very funny. He's a good guy.
He's very accomplished.
He is. I always feel very proud when I see like him doing big stuff or like, people talking about him on Twitter. I'm like, I know that guy.
You are the Buster Olney of film criticism.
Not even close, but thank you. That's very sweet.
These were fun. We will keep doing them. If we did not get to your question, sorry. If you have a question you'd like to ask, please do. And we'll do them all the time, like once a month.